Hello there. On this dark, spooky night, I will introduce to you a game called Barony. What the f*** is a Barony? Barony is a 4-player roguelike first-person dungeon crawl made by Turning Wheel. This game feels like a visual mud combined with the old school style of the 3D games back in the 80s and some of the 90s. Some of the actions and events that happen in the game will appear in text. This sort of textile interface is one of the reasons why I call this game a visual mud. Of course, muds are boring now. They were only fun because we had technical limitations back then. What the hell is this?
My flare.
I guess there's a demand for muds. Well, I guess people actually like muds today. The content may age, but the style and the passion is forever. Forever! Indie games have shown that you can revamp history of gaming with a more content-rich, enjoyable experience that doesn't sacrifice the retro charm. Mix that in with a small team of passionate developers, and you have yourself a great game. I'm such a filthy, nostalgic whore. Simply put, this is a downward layered labyrinth that has a few branches that will conclude into a boss fight. The layers consist of caverned areas, green watery biomes, castle dungeons, a steampunk factory, and a dip in tones and shit. I don't give a fuck what you learned in junior high school. We was kangs and shit. The game's objective is simply to prepare yourself for the boss fight the whole way down. Barony can quite possibly take more time than an average roguelike. This is a dungeon looting simulator. You have to be very thorough to get through this game, whether it be to find enemies to get XP off of or loot to gather. There are various of items that you have to obtain to help you through this multi-layered doom pit. Aside from your typical armor and weapons, you have special items like spell books, or like boots of levitation that will hover you above water or air. There's the ring of warning, and that shows where every enemy is on the minimap. There's also a mirror that will teleport you to random places so you can have an easy way to exit out of a dangerous situation. Speaking of random, a good roguelike is measured of how random, how spontaneous the gameplay is. If a roguelike's not random and doesn't have the capability of surprising the player, then the player is going to burn out on the repetitiveness of playing the same thing over and over. Barony does a pretty good job at staying unpredictable. Since the game is optimally played slow and carefully, it may take about 2.5 hours to complete a full playthrough. You may want to reserve yourself a little bit of time to take a stroll through Barony. It's a slow and relaxing, wonderful experience through a labyrinth of death that will have its music coast you through the experience. Yes. Barony will definitely be a learning experience. This game has a multitude of ways to kill you. You will get better at avoiding safety hazards in your workplace. Yes, you might perish from a boulder falling on top of you. Or rolling on top of your cold, dead, flat corpse, and your limbs squirming from the effects of rigor mortis. Hey, you might be killed by a succubus spawning out of a water fountain. And you can be blinded by the same water fountain. Trust me, this is only temporary. Watch the floors, for they are dangerous too. Watch out for the things you equipped. It could kill you. This necklace doesn't look suspicious in the slightest. It's fine. Just wear it.
Nope, definitely not a good necklace.
Yeah, be aware of the loot. It may try to kill you. I suggest appraising everything you have just for safe measure. And the Minotaur? No bueno. Minotaur, bad juju. You know what they say.
Nobody expects the
Spanish Inquisition.
Oh, hot damn! Where did it come from?
Spanish Inquisition.
What's a good old dungeon run without classes? I'm talking healers, I'm talking rogues, I'm talking clerics, I'm talking wizards. I'm talking all kinds of shit.
These classes aren't the classes that have unique special abilities that are tied to them, but a set amount of attributes that go well and complement their archetype. Like, if you're going to be a barbarian, you better not expect to be slinging some spells. You know what I mean? It's not that strict of a system where you have to cast spells if you're a wizard. But it's recommended that you fall in the frame of what the class entitles. I got my own class for the women out there. It's called the Pussy Destroyer class. I can sling force bolts out my dick hole. It's got a high rate of critical hitting that ass. Woo boy, I tell you, I smacked a hobgoblin with my meat, and he was in a coma for months. Hey man, if you don't believe me, you don't believe me, but I read the spell book, and I can sling some very high quality spells out of my dingaling. Call me the High Priestess or something like that, you know what I mean? Well, anyways, I believe that action games like this is only as good as their enemies, and that they should stay in the range of what the player can do. Luckily, the developers seem to know what type of combat they wanted in this game. Of course, this game is not too actiony. It's supposed to represent the good old days. They want the players to be engaged in a nostalgic, retro experience. Now, this doesn't make the combat simpler, but they want to put other aspects in the front lines. This low-action combat allows for these special items to shine, using the loot that you gathered in specific situations. To me, this is challenging, thought-provoking combat. Of course, there are numerous amount of creatures that you would see in a D&D game. These are all the common enemies in the game. Hey, they got your standard skeletons, ghouls, goblins. Sounds nice. Hey, there's a cockatrice right there. You know what a cockatrice is, a giant chicken?
That's a big fucking cock!
Also, there's these gnomes that kind of look like the ones that you put in your garden that come alive and try to murder your children. Yeah, gnomes are no bueno as well. When you go down to the gnome's den, you might hear this little chattering right before they light your ass up with lightning rods. Now, not all the eyes are enemies. There are other explorers that will join you on your quest to become
the most greatest dipshit the most greatest champion that this labyrinth has ever seen.
Honestly, they kind of suck. They die like that, and like that.
Oh no! Oh god! Oh no! Oh, the carnage! The carnage! Oh no!
Now the boss, the Baron. There's also Satan if you take another route, but the Baron is extremely hard. I have never beaten him before because I guess I suck. Or maybe he's an overpowered son of a bitch. That's why over numerous attempts of failing, I used cheats to get the footage. I see you degenerates judging me. Barony's not even the final boss. You would have to go through another difficult labyrinth to beat the game. I gotta get the footage. Hey man, he said it, not me. But hey, you don't have to tackle the Baron alone, because you got the power of friendship on your side. More likely than not, you're playing with your online friends because your social life is shit. Why are you playing video games? Why are you playing a pixelated Minecraft lookalike like Barony? Why aren't you out slapping ass and getting poon? Why are you watching a YouTuber with a subscriber count in the 2 digits? It seems like you need to reassess your priorities. Well, that concludes my video and the review of Barony. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it was stupid, and I congratulate you for sitting through it. I love you, and have a good night. Okay?